This is the Engines of Our Ingenuity, made possible by the Friends of KUHF Houston.
Today, a very young man teaches us to fly, after all. The University of Houston's College of Engineering presents this series about the machines that make our civilization run and the people whose ingenuity created them. When I was in grade school long ago, I loved building model airplanes powered by twisted rubber bands. Sometimes I worked from kits, sometimes from my own imagination. Building those models taught me that I had abilities despite the devastation of undiagnosed dyslexia. They gave me hope. Now I've learned the poignant history of those models and met the man who first built them. He was Alphonse Penaud, born in 1850 in Paris. Penaud planned to join the Navy. Then he suffered a disabling illness. I don't know what, only that it ended his plan. So he turned to inventing a flying machine. He was no idle dreamer. He worked methodically. He thought through questions of stability and propulsion. Penaud was 21 when he finally perfected a rubber band-driven model airplane. It had a wing, a tail, and a propeller in the rear. It was very close to the models kids like me were building 70 years later. He flew it in the Tuileries garden for all to see. During the next 10 years, Penaud thought and he experimented. Sometime before 1874, he built a rubber band-powered helicopter that he stabilized with counter-rotating propellers, one above and one below. In 1875, the French Academy of Science awarded him a prize for his brilliant thinking. Still, Penaud wanted to fly, not just to think. He went to work with a mechanic named Paul Gauchot. In 1876, they patented a full-scale airplane. For the next 4 years, he looked for the means to build and fly the machine. Long before, when Penaud was only 2, another French inventor, Henri Giffard, made the first successful dirigible flight over Paris. In 1880, Penaud turned to Giffard for support in getting a heavier-than-air craft built. Giffard gave him a cold shoulder. Penaud didn't have the emotional resources to handle that defeat. He went home and built a small wooden casket. He put all his designs into it and delivered it to Giffard's house. Then he went home and committed suicide. He was only 30, and he didn't know that Giffard was also depressive, that 2 years later, Giffard would also commit suicide. But the fierce intelligence of Penaud's work went on to touch every would-be airplane builder from then until we got it right. Read any book on the history of flight, and Penaud is there as a recurring footnote. In 1874, Bishop Milton Wright bought one of Penaud's toy helicopters. He took it home to his boys, Orville and Wilbur, and right there, Penaud changed the course of history. Penaud was a quiet, almost anonymous force behind the gathering invention of flight. He was one of the more important forces at that. His models showed inventors what was possible, but they also showed me what was possible. Long after Penaud died, his delicate models gave me hope just when I most needed it. I'm John Lienhardt at the University of Houston, where we're interested in the way inventive minds work.